So, on this channel, I talk about all things as far as gear, lighting, lenses, some tutorials, some behind the scenes breakdowns. But what we often get caught up with is creating, right? Getting that footage, getting those photos. But we don't take the time necessarily to think how much this project is going to take up on my computer or my external hard drive, SSD. So, I wanted to show you guys a product that I've been using for the last few months that has absolutely saved me so much time and money when it comes to storing all of my footage and or my pictures. And if you're in the market for a solution that can store thousands upon thousands of pictures, hours upon hours of footage, then you really need to take a look at this. This is the Glyph Blackbox Pro Desktop RAID. And what it is it's a RAID backup system that you can use for archiving, but not only for archiving your footage or your images, but also you can edit off of it. And we'll talk about that a little bit more because not all things can be edited off of this hard drive. So we'll get into it. So this is the Black Box Pro RAID by Glyph, and full transparency, they did send this out to me for review and for use, but they don't get to see this video before it goes live and they have no input. All these opinions are my own thoughts and they have not sponsored this video. So let's just talk about what a RAID system is. Essentially what a RAID system is typically a backup that you will use to back up files such as images, or video files, your footage and stuff like that. But you can obviously back up all sorts of things on it. It is a hard drive to its heart and to its core. And what it is it's two mechanical spinning hard drives. So it has two in here, and this is the 48 terabyte model, which I really like. It does have Thunderbolt on the back. It has two of those ports, and it actually also has a display port. You power it with a DC barrel connection by plugging it up to your wall. It does have an internal fan, so you don't have to worry about any sort of overheating with the drives. I've never actually even heard the fan kick on, so that's a good thing. If it does, it's very audible. So it's not something that I worry about. And again, I've been using it for the past few months to back up all of my footage, all of my images. It allows me not to have so many hard drives, so many external hard drives, SSDs, all of that stuff. I have totally dumped all my footages on this Glyph Blackbox Pro RAID. And what it has allowed me to do is not only just archive, but actually start working off of this RAID kit here. So the awesome thing about it is, besides just archiving your footage, you can obviously edit off of it. Now, talking about editing video off of it, it is good if, say, for instance, you're doing some sort of 4K footage, even my Lumix footage in 6K OpenGate, I can edit off of. It's fast enough for that. Now, when you start applying things like noise reduction or creative LUTs or any sort of effects, you still may want to edit off of this, but you will drop some frames. Just in my experience, I dropped some frames because, these mechanical hard drives in here are not necessarily meant for editing, even though I have this in RAID 0, which gives me the fastest performance from these drives. You can have RAID 0, RAID 1, and also a couple of different RAID modes on here. But I choose to have RAID 0. And why? Because it's just going to perform faster to allow me to edit off of it and for file transfer and stuff like that to this RAID system. Now you're probably wondering, well, there's different RAID, configurations and stuff like that. Yes. So basically you can use one of these drives in here to put your footage or your images or your files on, and the other one will mirror that drive. So in case one drive fails, you have everything on the second drive. I chose not to do that just because, again, I wanted performance. I wanted to get the fastest performance out of this RAID system. And I'm not worried about backup necessarily because I use BackBlaze, which, if you haven't heard of BackBlaze, it is an online cloud storage solution for basically files and footages and images and all that stuff. It's really cheap. It's like $9 a month for unlimited. So what I do is I set up BackBlaze on this RAID and I automatically have it set to backup. So when anything is added to this or taken away from this, it is reflected in my BackBlaze account. And at any time, if for some reason this thing fails or I lose files off of it, then I have it backed up in the cloud with BackBlaze. So that's why I have it in RAID 0. You choose whatever preference that you want, whether you want redundancy or whether you want speed. Again, Thunderbolt 3 support. So it's not super duper fast, but Thunderbolt 3 is faster than what these mechanical drives can support anyways, so no bottlenecks there in my opinion. I haven't experienced bottlenecks because the only bottleneck would be, and that's if you're putting heavy footage and heavy grades and effects and anything above 6K with a lower bit rate, would be the mechanical drives in here. I really like the system. It just does what it's supposed to do. It stores my files. Again, I'm able to edit off of it, scrub my files, playback with most footages just fine. My Lumix S5 my Lumix S1R2, my Blackmagic Pixis for that matter, footage just scrubs just fine. Now I am using Resolve, so obviously the Pixis footage is going to scrub great in there anyways because it's Blackmagic Raw on a, Blackmagic software. But I haven't ran into many issues with this. Sometimes it hangs up, and I think it's just because these drives kind of go to sleep a little bit when you're not using them. And then basically you have to give it a few seconds because I see that little spinning wheel on my Mac Studio, and then it's just working back the way it needs to. But that's, kind of like the caveat with mechanical drives. They're not as fast as SSDs. They're never going to be as fast. They're just mechanical drives, and they're good and beefy for storage. Because again, 48 terabyte model, if you were able to get a 48 terabyte SSD, you got some deep pockets because those things cost a lot of money. This one right here, I believe retails for $18.99. For 48 terabytes of storage, I know you may think that that sounds like a lot, but think about it. If you're using it for redundancy, great. If you're just using the entire 48 terabytes, just for speed and you just want archiving and use BackBlaze as your redundancy, I think it's really competitive in the market when you look at other RAID systems for a price per terabyte storage. Again, this is the 48 terabyte model. They have different models, 24 terabyte, 36, 40, I believe. And overall, it's just a great unit. I've wanted a RAID system for many of years, and I was never able to really afford one. So this came in handy a few months ago. Just been very functional. I have zero complaints about it whatsoever. And only thing I would say is, and that's with any RAID system, mechanical drives are just slower than SSDs. But if you need a solution for your images, your files, your footages, I definitely would consider giving this guy a try because it just does the trick. And it's built tough, it's rugged. Obviously, it's just going to sit on your desk, but the casing is metal and it also has like a rubber protection around it in case you want to transport it. This would be really good for film production. So if you have a video village set up on your production and you need to dump a lot of footage that maybe you are, capturing over a few days or something like that, it's portable. All it takes is a DC barrel connection and then just a Thunderbolt 3 port. Now, it does have a display port on the back, like I mentioned earlier, but I have not tried that. So I don't know if it has some sort of like kind of GUI, like, user interface that can work with it. So you may want to, do some research on that or check out, this particular unit on Glyph's website. And one other thing I did want to mention on how easy it is to set up the RAID, it just has dip switches in the back here. So all you do is you set it to whatever RAID configuration that you want, and you hold in that set for about 5 seconds. There's a little set button, like what would look like a reset button, but it's just to set the RAID configuration. And the drive itself, once you plug it up and you set those dip switches and you hit set, it will eject itself and then remount itself. So also, when you're setting it up, just real easy, just go into disk utility in your Mac, or if you're on Windows, um, just go ahead and format the drives themselves. And then, after you set your RAID configuration, then you're good to go. So that's really all I wanted to talk about today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some insight on backing up your files, your images, your footage. And overall, I'm just really impressed with this particular hard drive. Last thing I wanted to mention, it does have like a key lock in the front. So in case you needed to replace one of the drives, these doors do open and it has a key to secure it. So unlock it and lock it. And then you could just take a drive out and replace one if you need to. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you like stuff like this, or if this video was helpful, please consider subscribing. Give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down twice. And until the next time, take care of your storage needs. Be creative, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll see you on the next one.